So I just kind of gave it like if we're named this podcast, I named it like Bits and Chunks. I don't know if that's
Cool. I love it.
it's a good name. Okay, cool.
Yeah, man, that's a good one.
All
I'm
right.
a little bit chunky, and I named myself. I said Southern Chainsaw Inconvenience is mine.
Well, welcome everyone. This is Cinematic Suffering, but this is not the usual Cinematic Suffering podcast. This is something a little bit different, right,
It's a
Clay?
very special episode, which
It
they
is.
always said that in TV shows as I was a kid, which let you know it was drugs, something worse, or
uh,
alcoholism. Terrible.
I learned it from watching you. Okay.
Yeah. But it's not that. This is a little bit more freeform. We wanted to try something different, so we're doing a little bit, just kind of off the top of our head, general conversation. We're doing something more podcasty than our normal podcast.
Right. Yeah, and I think we've come to a conclusion that the name cinematic suffering, and then maybe a colon, bits and chunks. How about
I
that?
love it.
All
Yeah.
right, so that's what we'll call it. And guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like. It always helps us out. It helps everyone out. And for everything else, all the links will be down in the comment section below, or
That's
not
right.
comment,
That's
description.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
And comment, say horrible things about us. Make fun of the way I look, the way I talk. Don't do that to Jason, because that would be mean. But
Well, I'm very
well,
sensitive too. I've
Yeah.
got very thin skin.
Me too.
Let me get some fog going back here.
Nice.
So, Clay, I'm going to present you with a question, and I hope you can follow up with it.
All right, let's have it. Let's go.
What you thinking?
I'm thinking. I was just trying to think about horror in general. So it's kind of a leading question, but we're going to keep it kind of horror centric here. I was thinking about some of the movies that I've seen recently. You and I talked, and I thought we thought it would be cool to do a podcast episode where we just talk about some of the recent movies that we saw in the theater that are now in streaming, so we could maybe get it out there with the.
Yeah, I was. It may surprise people that we don't actually just watch movies together. We actually enjoy movies outside of cinematic suffering. Movies. Yeah, Muffies that we enjoy watching with our significant others, by ourselves, that we think might be pretty good.
That's right. And actually, one of the first things that comes to mind that I watched recently was a recommendation from my significant other. This is just going to be rife with Freudian slips.
Yeah.
But she said, "Do you want to watch Salem's Lot, the original 1979 movie?
Yes,
miniseries actually."
Right.
And I always say yes. Anything she wants to see, yeah, no problem. I mean, it's but inevitably, she always recommends things that I enjoy, and I really enjoyed that one. I'm surprised I'd never seen it.
Yeah.
And
no, I'm surprised you haven't seen it either. That's I figured you would have. It's been around for a long time for sure. So.
And it's one of those movies that if you're even kind of a horror fan, you've seen piecemeal pieces of it, even if you haven't watched it beginning to end. But I enjoyed that one.
There's some classic memes that have come after it, that like the Simpsons have replicated over the years, like the boy hovering outside the window, "Let me in, just let me in."
Yeah.
Very creepy.
One comment that I made during it, and I was, I've never read the source material, but I thought it was funny that like Stephen King just couldn't stand and not make himself the hero of that story. It's about a writer that saves the day from the vampires.
Yeah, of course, man. I remember reading about when we were kids. I say kids, teenagers are kids, right? Sure. I went on a slew of Stephen King books and just read a ton of them. And it was called Jerusalem's Lot. I think the actual book was, or maybe it's a novella. But yeah, it was called Jerusalem's Lot. And I can't remember that much from it. So don't ask me. I just thought I'd bring that up.
That I read as a child. Like when we were kids, I don't know. I think that the teenage boys just kind of like, oh, if you're going to be a reader, it's going to be probably Stephen King, or I remember Peter Straub, wasn't he another one that was
Peter
like
Straub,
contemporary?
Clive Barker.
When I got into Clive Barker,
Yeah.
shut it down. That was it. I didn't realize that you could get away with reading the most transgressive filth imaginable. When I say that, like totally, like positively. I love Clive Barker. I remember reading it thinking, I can't believe that they let this out there and that I could just walk into a Walden's book and buy this.
I think you actually might have got me turned on to Clive Barker, or maybe Nightbreed did, because all that stuff was happening around that same time that when Nightbreed came out, and the period between Hellraiser and that. But I have a distinct memory of us. We're still in high school, and you were over at my house with Morgan. No, I think it was just you actually, and we had just read a Clive Barker book. Now I can't remember what it was, a dream something, or
might have been a magic. It wasn't a Magica.
I think it might have been a Magica actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll see, because we didn't know. I didn't know what this word meant that was in the book. It was coitus.
Coitus, yeah. A character says you stink of coitus.
A character says you stink of coitus, and then I remember that being the funniest word, and I had no idea what it meant. And my mom's there, by the way. She's like cooking dinner or just hanging out in the kitchen, and Clay and I are just like, coitus, sweetly, of coitus, and just saying coitus over and over again. Then my mom finally gets up and she goes, "Do you know what you're saying?" I was like, no, what am I saying? Then she kind of politely let us know what the meaning of the word meant. Now, you may have known what it was. I
had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea either. I mean, it didn't surprise me that it means what it meant. As I recall, maybe it's a false memory. As I recall, your mom said, "Just look it up." And she sent you to the dictionary.
She did. She said, "Go look it up." She didn't exactly.
And that was kind of like,
And I felt so embarrassed after that. I was like, "Oh my God, we're just saying this." I mean, it's not a bad word or anything, but it's
like saying sphincter and not knowing what it means. Yeah. And that happened at I remember I was working a job, and this woman that I worked with was like, "I want to touch your sphincter." And she'd say it all the time. And one of my coworkers said, "You know that means butthole, right?" She'd be like, "No, I didn't know that. How could you do that to me?" Like we did it to her.
Yeah. Oh my God. We'll go look up what sphincter means, please. but going back to Salem's Lot, I watched it. The most recent I watched it was probably 2022, probably around this time in 2020. No. This is early 2020 or late 2020. Anyways, what I'm getting at is that I remember seeing it come across my streaming service, whatever it was on. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't seen Salem's Lot in years, so I'm gonna just put it on. And probably 2 hours into it, I was like, fuck, this is long.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
And I didn't realize how long it was. In fact, I didn't realize it was put out originally as a mini TV series.
Yeah, it was a two-part miniseries.
Yeah, and then I had no idea. I forgot how long it was. I didn't realize the length, so I was like, let me see how much more time I got on this. And it said an hour and a half. I was like, what? I was flabbergasted. But I sat there and just sat through the entire thing and watched it, and pretty much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I found that it was more fun for me to watch it in pieces. We watched it in it was 3 hours long. At least the Blu-ray that we got.
Yeah,
they got a fantastic like capture or whatever you call it. They got a great print of the movie. It looked fantastic. Excuse me. On Blu-ray, is probably when I see something like that, it makes me realize that we're watching it in a format that's way better than the original people on TV. That we're watching it on TV saw it. Like, we're seeing it in high def. They probably went in and took out a lot of the film grain damage or any of that kind of stuff. It sounded great. And
so that's how you watched it, was on Blu-ray?
We watched it on Blu-ray. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's
went on Amazon and got it. And I enjoyed it a lot more watching it episodically. We didn't watch it exactly the way you would watch it as a miniseries, I don't think, but we watched it in hour-long chunks, so you don't get too. I have a very short attention span, so it's it's a excuse me. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm surprised that it kind of that they got it on TV. It's not like it was this really kind of controversial thing, but certain shots, like the classic one you mentioned of the kid floating outside the window, was genuinely horrifying. It was almost like the physical acting and the effects, the makeup effects. It was almost reminiscent later on of like the first Evil Dead movie. I thought. Like it had that same kind of really demonic, this is not a person anymore quality to the makeup.
That's what I really enjoyed about it. That was that yeah, for one part, those parts were particularly creepy when the townspeople were transforming, the way they just jammed these probably very uncomfortable contacts in their eyes and put the teeth, and then of course the vampire not being the typical Dracula vampire, but the Nosferatu looking one from like back in the 20s was really a great, I think, addition to the movie that made it much more entertaining and horrifying than what it originally probably could have been.
Oh, it was great, and the master, I think they called him. He was just this completely non-human entity. Those are the kind of vampire movies that I like. I like a lot of different kinds. I like the well, I don't want to go off on too many tangents, but like Renfield, by the way, footnote, if we get to that. Have you seen that one yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, side note, but yeah, that was really good. But the Salem's Lot variety of vampire was a subterranean rat, like, kind of just monstrous, so alien that you almost question their intentions. Like, do they even really know what they want?
Right.
It just seemed to be this consuming force. It was really pretty scary. I enjoyed it.
But yeah, we're talking about the monstrous nature of the Salem's Lot vampire, the master, and that it's such a divergent path from like you said, the typical Dracula movies, or from Interview with a Vampire. I like the really monstrous vampires. I like them both. Like you said, I like all the aspects. The vampires in 30 Days of Night were really ferocious and cool, I thought.
And I remember that as a kid, you were really big into the Vampire the Masquerade.
Vampire the Masquerade. Been a fan of that MMO or the RPG for a long time. But I wanted to go back and say that there was a prequel released on the Epix channel called Chapelwaite, and
cool.
It's basically a prequel story to Jerusalem's Lot, or Salem's Lot, however you want to say it. And it just deals with how, not necessarily how the vampire got there, because that was already explained in the original movie, but just this cult and the rise of this vampire, that its presence was in the area long before Salem's Lot was even a town. So Adrian Brody's in it. He's pretty good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
Was it did it compare to the original movie?
They did a couple little Easter eggs and things like that, but they didn't really necessarily delve too much into the lore of the original. But it was deemed a technical prequel to Salem's Lot. So
yeah, I might have mentioned it we probably talked about it briefly, after one of our normal podcasts, but that that movie on Netflix, The Black Mass, was obviously heavily inspired, if not kind of almost a spiritual successor in a way of Salem's Lot, and that was really good. That had Stephen King all over it. Like even the typeface for the title and the presentation of the movie poster screamed like, we love some Stephen King. That one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, harkens back to Stephen King and even H.P. Lovecraft when you think of like the Shadow over Innsmouth, or the Deep Ones.
The Deep Ones
that we just recently watched, but it will be out later. But but Black Mass was such a killer, because when I first started watching it, it hooked me pretty much immediately because of the isolation and the island and all this stuff. But I had no idea it was a vampire flick until we start seeing some stuff, that starts happening, the dead cats and people acting strange and turning, and all of a sudden, when it explodes, and it's like, whoa, it's a fucking vampire show. Yes. And I was so chuffed on it.
Those are the best kind of twists. And I think a lot of the modern trailers for movies that they, what's going to happen. they basically show you a condensed form of the movie in the trailer, and it's kind of a bummer because you kind of know all the story beats before you even sit down to watch the damn
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and I don't sit down and like when I mean, there's some shows like if I'm interested or things that I'm like iffy on, I'll watch a theatrical trailer of what the show or the movie will be about. But if it looks on its surface level, it's kind of like buying metal albums back when you
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
listen to them. So it's like I'm going to judge this by face value, and then I'm going to start watching it. That's what I did with the several movies that we've watched, and
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm saving this one. So,
yeah,
um,
you get 5 minutes into it and realize, no, we got to make fun of this one.
yeah, but Black Mass, I went into it blind and didn't even watch anything because I already heard some really good things about it. No spoilers or people just saying you got to watch it. It's cool, so that's what I did, and they were not wrong. Great
No,
show.
it was great, and I had the same experience that you did. Like I didn't realize that we were dealing with vampires. It was obvious that it was going to be some kind of supernatural horror
Yeah,
element, but I didn't know that that's where they were going with it. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
it was definitely. Um, yeah, geez, we're just on a vampire tangent, and it seems weird to kind of trail off a little bit, but did you see anything else? I think we were talking about Evil Dead Rise a little bit.
Yeah, it was. Sorry about the throat clearing too, there, folks. When I hit the mute button on the mic, it's almost worse than just spewing snot directly into the mic. So, yeah, I watched. We went out and saw Evil Dead Rise, and a big part of my enjoyment of that was the movie itself, obviously, but it's taken. I don't know if everybody else has had this experience. It's the dreaded plague that we've made it through, but it's taken me a while to actually get back out into the movie theaters regularly
Yep.
and enjoy the movie going experience. We've been to quite a few movies, but we started going on a pretty regular basis because
Yeah.
Evil Dead Rise came out, and then like before that we had saw Renfield, and that was a blast. It was
Yeah.
the only thing that really made it a horror movie was just the technicality. It was a
Yeah.
comedy. It was straight up a comedy, but a
Yeah,
very good one.
it looks really cool, and I think you said you saw Cocaine Bear as well.
Yeah, we saw
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear. It's
Yeah.
either before or after Renfield. So
Yeah.
that was another one that was you got what
Pretty much. The poster and the name says it all. That's what's beautiful about movies like that. Yeah, I mean, like you, we hadn't been to the theater to see a movie probably in 2 years. I mean, other than some specialty movies I told you about that we go see in like Los Angeles where they have like screenings of Near Dawn, Near Dark. And
I think it's Near Dark.
yeah, and several other kind of horror based, trash kind of movies that, B grade that, people enjoy. They become kind of cult hits. So my wife and I would just go and watch some screenings, but anything brand new, we didn't really go out and see. So we actually saw Evil Dead Rise in the theater because, great. It's in the theater. We haven't been in the theater in years, and we're supposed to kind of double date with this guy and his partner, but he kept delaying and delaying and delaying, and I was like, I'm not delaying anymore. I want to go see this damn movie. So she's
you're going to delay it right into home viewing.
Into home view. So I was like, no, let's just go and watch it. And yeah, we enjoyed the experience of being in the theater. Everyone was really cool that was there. So it wasn't like, a horrific experience, except for the magic that was taking place on the screen, of course. But yeah, it was, I see a lot of mixed reactions for this film all over social media. People are either hating it or they enjoyed it, or, the usual, I think these responses are so kind of dumb. If it doesn't have Bruce Campbell in it, then it doesn't count, or when are they going to get Bruce Campbell? It's like we have to step back and realize that Bruce Campbell's not a spring chicken anymore.
He himself has said he's too old to be making them,
right. And then also it's like, and if people are hoping for like a cameo for him, and he does kind of have a cameo in Evil Dead Rise.
I missed it.
Yeah, one of the voices that's on the record player is his.
Oh, okay. I take it back. I did spot that. I leaned over and said that's his. Somebody on social media, social media is such toxic garbage, and I contribute to that
Yeah,
sometimes.
me too.
But like somebody just posted the movie poster of it and then said hot effing garbage. And I just, and my response was incorrect. And then that was the end of the argument. But
Right.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know what people were expecting that they didn't get. You know, if you liked the 2013, I think the last one, the Fede Alvarez movie came out. If you like that one, what's not to like about that? I thought that the new one did dark humor even better than Fede Alvarez's movie. And I love the Fede Alvarez movie.
Yeah, I thought in my opinion, I thought the Fede Alvarez was better, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy Rise. There's a lot of great things about Rise to like. I mean, you as a horror fan, what don't you like about gore and buckets and buckets of gallons of blood? I mean, what don't you like about it?
It's like and that's Evil Dead. If you I saw people get up and walk out angrily of the movie.
Yeah,
and I saw other my friends on social media said that they experienced the same thing, and I just gotta wonder, like, what movie did you expect to see? The trailer itself was nauseating. So if you're not into that, then what? Go see Renfield, because that's got a lot of gore, but that was like itchy and scratchy level.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like I know, and that's you think horror fans wouldn't be a fickle punch, but we are. But at the same time,
like metalheads in that way.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, but you know what you're going to expect. You're going to expect a pretty simple story plot. It's not going to be too involved. It's going to be enclosed in a closed area. Not a lot of characters. So, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And when people say, "Oh, I hope they bring like Bruce Campbell in for the third one that they're going to do," because I think they've confirmed that they are going to do another one. All I can think of is if you bring Ash back into this movie, the tone changes, because these two remakes have been on a more horrific, serious level. But what happens if you bring Ash back and he starts being his kind of like wisecracking, goofball self? It just ruins the tone of the new movies. So keep him out of it. Sam Raimi and him are behind the scenes, executive producing everything that's going on in these movies have been vetted from these two people that have been the creators of this series and the whole thing. And I'm just getting stuck.
Well, yeah, and like you said, they're very hands-on with it. They vet the directors that come in, and they only pick people that really get it, that are kind of fans themselves, because those guys are old enough to have kind of inspired a whole generation of new filmmakers. And you got these Lee Cronin was the director of this most recent one. I haven't seen Hole in the Ground. You have. I think you said you liked it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just to branch off just a little bit from Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, when I saw Lee Cronin was the director, I was like, and he hasn't done that much before, but it's about but Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have always been about giving these directors, even kind of newer directors, their own output for these two at least. So it's nice to see the creative output of Fede Alvarez and Lee Cronin. But The Hole in the Ground, I said, well, I enjoyed Rise. Let's go watch The Hole in the Ground. And it's a slow burn, but it's a good movie. It's not Rise. So it's not filled with buckets of blood and huge violence, but it's this steady, slow burn of this woman who thinks that her child is not her child, but some doppelganger that has replaced them. And it
sounds familiar. I may have either seen it or seen something that's similar.
I was about to say that there's another movie I thought was similar. I think of Us, the Jordan Peele movie, Us, where you're dealing with doppelganger families, and then I'm not going to reveal what happened in that movie, but it was fucking fantastic. But
great.
So now I was thinking that, and then I thought of The Pit from 1981. But that didn't involve a doppelganger. It involved a hole in the ground, though. So
the whole "my kid is not my kid" is kind of a well-worn trope in horror, but if it works, it works. It's kind of like
you think of Village of the Damned or something like that.
Like, what's wrong with the kids? What's going on with the kids?
Yeah.
it kind of plays into, and this is by no means an original thought, but it plays into this generational gap that we definitely see now between, like parents, grandparents, and their kids. It's like I don't understand these people anymore. I think it
Right.
kind of plays into that fear.
No, that's a great take on it, because yeah, this is not my kid, this is not my child. Who are these children? I just think of people just complaining about the current generation of young people, and I'm like, every generation of young people, every generation has young people that are pieces of shit. They've had young people that are great people.
2 hours later.
The Pope's Exorcist was another one that we saw
Yeah.
not too long ago.
I haven't seen it, but it looks good.
Yeah, it was one of those movies that I couldn't tell whether it was. At first, I was thinking, does it know that it's kind of fun and kind of a comedy? And then by the time you get to the third act of the movie, you're like, okay, this is like kind of a fun house ride of a movie. It's not serious. And boy, Russell Crowe once again just carrying the entire movie on his
that's awesome,
on his shoulder.
I got that on my list along with Renfield for sure. The one last thing about technology, it's like technology can be a boon or a curse, and it depends on how you use them. We've seen some movies where the newest technology has been a definite curse on what we've seen.
Well, like what's an example that pops to mind?
Well, I mean, we just see Goblin, which has just been released at the time we're talking, where these people put together a fairly incompetent film on digital video and spent $20,000 to put it together, and at least they did it. But it was God, I'm trashing on it now, but I'm telling you, we did enjoy it. But is that a curse or a blessing? I don't know, because
I don't know. It kind of makes me wonder why everybody doesn't make their movie. It's kind of exciting. I mean, like I've always loved movies, and as much as I dream about like being a filmmaker, it would be a daunting thing to have to kind of find the people that would be willing to go on that journey with you. And it just seems kind of like a daunting experience. I kind of respect the people that don't even see that. They're just like, no, you just over, around, under, through. We're gonna make our masterpiece. Like
I think if anything, a lot of respect. We may trash on their movies and make fun of them and riff, but I think in the end we do respect the filmmakers, because at least they did something and put something out and had the courage to let people watch it and critique it, and that's entertainment business.
I wonder if somebody is working or has done an HOA themed horror movie, because like as a kid and a young adult, I always listened to people bitch about their HOA, and I thought, shut up, man, whatever. It's just I didn't even want to hear it. It's like somebody talking about their 401k or something. It's just, in my golf game, it just seemed like this boring, tedious adult type thing that people do. And like having now become a homeowner and dealing with the HOA, they are just the worst. I mean, we just got our second violation. That's why I love it, violations, because there's a little bit too much algae attached to my house. And I mean, it abuts basically a friggin' swamp. Like we live in Georgia, and I mean, it's like nature is just constantly attacking your house. It's it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's like, dude, there's like
nature.
Like we were sitting there eating one time, and this frog just plat right on the window outside where we're eating. Like there's going to be algae, so now I've got to get that pressure washed or else. And I was just thinking, like, what a great horror movie premise that would be, is just just the HOA controls you. You can never leave this community.
That's a pretty damn good idea. So I had to like look it up and see if there's anything out there.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything specifically HOA related. I mean, a lot of them just are like holiday. They're
Hoa.
Hoa.
You can't escape the Hoa.
Oh, I thought you were doing a little Al Pacino impression there. Hoa.
Hoa.
But well, I mean, we're about 30 minutes in. I think that's been a good tight time.
30?
Yeah,
just shave off a couple minutes here and there for me to unplug and replug things. Stupid computers.
Yeah, that'll only be a couple of seconds. But yeah, this has been an episode of Bits and Chunks. Did you have
Bits and
anything else?
chunks.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or bring up?
No, we can kind of save it for the next one. I guess you're like pencil in your homework assignment as either the Pope's Exorcist or Renfield, so we can talk about that one. Both of those are going to be kind of way after the fact, but I don't think Jason or I, or hopefully our burgeoning audience, cares that we aren't super timely with this stuff. It's just
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it comes out when it comes out.
It comes out when it comes out. I feel the Bits and Chunks will be on a whim, maybe.
Yeah. I dig it. I love the name. So congrats on that. And
thank you.
And I like the format, man. I think we should return to these, and I hope people like them.
Absolutely. Agree 100%. So yeah, if you guys made it to the end of this video, thank you. Again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet.
Click that like button. I know everybody says that, but it helps us tremendously.
It's imperative. It's imperative. And if you're listening to this on any of your podcasting outlets like iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify, make sure you give us hopefully a 5-star rating and maybe a kind review. Because if you don't have anything kind to say, I'm going to put this out there. We've been giving nothing but 5-star ratings for all the movies that we've watched, even if we bitch about them. So
yeah, and some might accuse us of being sarcastic about that, which horrible.
Well. Okay, well, I guess that's it, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Talk to you soon, y'all. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.